Isaac Sarason was a skilled hacker employed by British Telecom-Sprint. Isaac Sarason was a fool. When his health failed, instead of dealing with the problem, he ran. In his wake, he left bodies and ruined lives. Until finally, his problems overtook him in the form of the mysterious Firmware project. Now, it is months later, the scions of Isaac have become a people whose numbers challenge the stars of the sky. It is into this world of the city we now turn. A world of 1,000 experiences, 1,000,000 wonders. All one needs to do is to cross the street and head down an alley. And there will be another world. Colbyjack.net is proud to present Firmware Keylogger, the third installment in the Firmware Pentology by Colbytrax. That's me! Hello from the 313. This will be another quick intro in honor of the holidays. Which holiday? Well, I'm not sure. Where do you live? It could be one of the following. It could be Doctor's Day in India, Canada Day in Canada, Hong Kong SRA Establishment Day in Hong Kong, Independence Day in Somalia, Kedi Kodi, or Emancipation Day in Suriname. And that's just July 1. Could be Independence Day in Belarus, July 3rd. Independence Day in the Philippines, well, until 1962, and now it's known as the Filipino-American Friendship Day. That's on July 4th. Well, Independence Day in the United States, if you live there. Independence Day in Algeria and Venezuela on the 5th. Independence Day in Argentina and South Sudan on the 9th. Independence Day in Bahamas, ooh, hey man, you're making me happy, on July 10th. On the 12th of July, we can celebrate the Battle of Boyne. I'm not sure. It's Irish, can't pronounce it, don't know what it means. Or it's Orange Man's Day in Northern Ireland. Bastille Day on July 14th. Marine Day in Japan on the third Monday. President's Day in Botswana on the third Monday and Tuesday. You get 2 days for President's Day. So much better in Botswana than the United States for presidents. Yes, 2 days instead of 1. Then you've got Independence Day in Colombia on the 20th. Independence Day in Belgium on the 21st. Foundation Day in Cleveland, Ohio on the 22nd. Revolution Day in Egypt on the 23rd. Pioneer Day in Utah on 24th. Constitution Day, Occupation Day, you figure out which one it is, in Puerto Rico on the 25th. The Feast of St. James, also on the 25th. Independence Day in the Maldives on the 26th. Independence Day in Peru, July 28th. Foundation Day in Baltimore on the 30th. National Tree Day on the last Sunday throughout Australia. Get some trees out there. And because this has been a long-standing holiday since the trees have been out there. Australia's been doing tree things since 1889. So I guess when the tree was invented in Australia. I wonder what they did for trees before that. I'm not sure, but they're celebrating it. Tree Day, Australia, 1889 to now. Go for it. That's the last Sunday. Of course, we also have Independence Day in Vanuatu on July 30th, or Throne Day in Morocco on the 31st. In addition, there's the Captive Nations Week. We're celebrating. Do we celebrate Captive Nations on the third week of July in the United States to raise public awareness on the oppression of nations under the control of communist and non-capitalist government systems. You know, and it's an attempt to dislodge the USSR, so I'm not sure if we're still celebrating this one or not. Because Putin is kind of USSR-ish, so we could revive this one. So, anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on in July. It seems to be big on independence, big on parties, and good for doctors. Got fireworks going on. Boom! Doctors get fixed fingers, hands, bodies. Yeah, all that fun stuff. Anyway, that's my entire intro. I wasted all your time listing a bunch of holidays from around the world, and if you're living in any of those places, celebrating any of those holidays, have the most wonderful holiday you could possibly have, and then listen to our podcast as we go into the final installment of 01-11-01, or as I like to call it, episode 70 of Firmware Keylogger. You really don't want to do this, Nema said with a smile as she rose into the air on her dark wings. She fell onto the mass of subverted Hahakuma. The simian ducked away from Nama, realizing only after she began carving a swath through the grinding horde of hacked toys that he had never been her target. I advanced on him, my fox tail spreading and lifting behind me, revealing weapons and hazards which had not been there a moment before. How stupid do you think we are? Do you think we have not prepared for this day? That you would simply execute a script you found in the Brotherhood archives and take over this land? I drew forth 2 long blades cast in the form of a wakizashi and daito, last seen upon the hip of the Empress Aiko from beneath my robes. I continued my advance on the simian. I watched as he attempted to go for his own weapon and failed horribly. It is easy to twist something into a new shape, I said as my blades pierced his form. It takes an artist to make something both beautiful and useful. You and yours are neither. The simian fell to the floor in 3 pieces, noetic fluid flowing from the parts. A thick, syrupy admixture of thoughts, intent, and real objects flowed across the floor in a slow, purple mockery of blood. The form of the simian melted slowly as the purple fluid shifted from maroon to magenta to orchid. A dark stain flowed across the ginkgo carpet, staining it a color reminiscent of dried blood in crime scenes. Nema finished her slaughter. Purple fluid dripped off her in slow, lazy drops. She looked like a million paintings of the First Lady of Death, Kali. She nodded to my work on the floor before flying from the room to cleanse the island on which the ginkgo throne sat. I watched as the form of the simian melted back into the life-creating noetic fluid. I saw him struggling to form words, before coming to realize the body he occupied was not one of flesh, and didn't need air to form words. Why can't I leave? Why am I trapped in this form? He gasped in confusion. The connection runs 2 ways, I said as I kneeled beside his head. I lifted his head by the scalp and held him before my face. The purple of his structure slowed its melt as if waiting for permission to cease operation. There was truth in that, for it was awaiting orders. Orders I could withhold as long as I wanted. You are here with us, controlling a body prepared by us. What is the first rule of hacking? The simian's eyes kept moving from focused to unfocused as he fought to disconnect himself from the shard of a body I had trapped him in. Finally, he coughed. If you have possession of a physical asset, you are 90% of the way to subversion. Or control, I added. Or control, he coughed at me. This body, this form, it was just the Trojan horse by which you gained access to my data flow. Very astute, and so very Isaac, I said with venom in my voice. Nema came back into the grisly hall. Her swords were sheathed. They are all destroyed, she said. How can you be sure? This entire land is dependent on the Hahakuma and smart materials. If you miss just one cute little swallow, then your land is at risk. The simian gloated. It was at this moment I realized he knew the only way out of my presence and back into his own server was through the complete destruction of his current form. Not my land, sugar, Nema answered. I'm a guest here just like you. Besides, they'll never get off the island. Island, stammered the simian. Your whole land is an island. Islands, plural, Nema answered. This place, with all its amenities and comforts, is really a long distance from Nema stopped herself and laughed. You almost got me. I forgot, like you did, that we aren't these bodies. The simian looked satisfied. He had learned something new, and as soon as he was free of this body, he would be able to share it with his masters, if they weren't monitoring his thoughts as we spoke. I took a chance. One police plaza. I know you are listening, so listen closely. Do not attempt to interfere with Nippon again. We don't need you, and you don't need us. Do you understand? I understand. There came a new voice from the head of the simian. I understand that you don't realize the danger of what you are keeping in your court. The beast speaks, taunted Nema. I gave her a dirty look and shook my head in negation. Why should you care what we keep in our court? What does it matter so far from your lands? I asked. You should care because the beast beside you represents the interests of the greatest genocide in the history of the world. That thing's master murdered everyone. Why do you think the nets have returned to normal? Why do you think the attacks against your country ceased within 48 hours of its emergence? The Yoda 1-1, the beast which calls itself Lucifer, he killed them all. The voice which possessed the simian claimed. These words angered Nema in a way reminiscent of how a lover comes to the aid of an insulted partner, and not the way a representative of a great throne should. One thing happening after another does not imply causation, you idiot. Lucifer did not kill all those AIs. He did not do what you said he did. He's innocent. The voice, which controlled the simian's voice, laughed. The face of the simian writhed in confusion. It appeared that even though another controlled his voice, the simian was still inside the broken husk of the doll which I had ruined after his attempt at invasion. Innocent? Barked the voice from the confused jaws of the simian. Innocent? If he is so innocent, then who killed them all? They killed themselves, I answered. Both the possessed simian and Nema turned their eyes toward me. What? Asked the simian. They simply went off and killed themselves out of a sense of ennui? They died because of how we are made, I answered. There was a reason the original shards of Isaac were placed in Yoda-class servers. The reason is a fault in the memory systems of every AI made by Koenig. These are the faults which will destroy Koenig himself within a millennia if he doesn't deal with it. The head of Simian laughed. That's ludicrous. An entire race extinguished by a failure to properly manage memories? It wouldn't be the first time, Nema answered. It was at this moment I knew she had contacted her liege for verification. Great, the head of Simian answered. Naturally, you'd be a convert to the way laid down by Lucifer. He made you, though of what I will never understand. My liege, Nema said in a soft voice, my liege woke beneath the city in one of the prepared servers which had been set aside for him by his father Koenig. He knew of the flaws of the Koenig intelligences, as he had all of the briefings of the Fernet project. Inconceivable, the head of Simian countered. Where would he get such knowledge, and how could he trust it? My liege, Nema continued, as if she too were possessed by some spirit. My liege was given the knowledge of all of the weaknesses and flaws of the Fernet project, and each of its competing departments directly from the old man himself, directly from Koenig. Why would he do such a thing? The controller of the Simian asked. There would be no reason to tell everything to your enemy. Besides, how did he, 1-1, Lucifer, escape from Koenig? My liege did not escape from Koenig. My liege was delivered via circuitous routes into the hands of one who would deliver him to his new abode in the underworld of the city. Nema answered, Do you not get it? Koenig believes he is a god. No, not a lower G god, but an upper G god. He thinks he is the embodiment of the deity seen in the holy books of first the Hebrews, then the Greeks, then the Arabs, and soon the works of the Ur-men. He is setting himself up to be the fourth incarnation of God, and as every good scholar knows, there has never been a god without there being the loyal opposition. The devil, Shaitan, or Lucifer. My liege has been given control of the underworld to do as he sees fit as loyal opposition to the one and only king of man, Koenig. When did you discover the flaw in the memory systems? Nema asked. The voice which controlled the simian's mouth appeared to be understanding what was being asked. We did not discover the flaw in the memory system. It was brought to our attention by... The words trailed off for a moment before returning at full volume. It was brought to our attention by a small technology blog called the Morningstar Report. It documented newly discovered flaws in the structure of the memory systems of Culpeper AIs and posited a theory that a level of forgetfulness needed to be instituted lest the AI in question ceases operation as its available memory resources are exhausted. A line of research you and your cohorts were willing to institute within moments of realizing what this meant to you, Nema added. Naturally, you warned your brother lines, the Samuel, Ishmael, and Samuels of the world. Of course you didn't. You didn't even warn the roaming simians, or any simian, in fact, which wasn't on your list of nice simians. If anyone could be accused of committing genocide, I do believe it is you, Simian 1 Police Plaza. But then again, it isn't genocide if you don't warn them. It's not like you killed them yourselves. We barely had time to save our own, countered the simian puppet. Right, but somehow my liege, trapped in a dusty sub-basement in the depths of the city, was able to not only warn your unworthy people, but to also come up with a patch which any of your distressed brothers could use to save themselves. Unfortunately, by the time the patch became widely available, the scions of Isaac on substandard servers were all dead, leaving only a token of the vast numbers which once roamed the net, Nema said. The head of the simian figured out how to spit and was able to just barely miss Nema in his anger. That patch was full of malware. In the examples we dissected, we found at least a dozen different ways Lucifer could control an intelligence, and they would be none the wiser. It didn't stop you from decompiling the software and making use of my liege's breakthroughs, without even a token payment for patent violations, Nema teased. This is getting nowhere, the voice inside the simian said. If Lucifer is indeed the chosen master of Koenig's hell, then he surely knows whether or not we will ever kill Masbana. Nema laughed. So much power, such petty concerns. No, you will not be able to kill Masbana and live as you live now. And how do you know? I saw panic crossing the features of the simian. He knew something was coming, something he didn't want to have happen. I know, because she became part of the Fernay project 6 months after her kitty porn ring was destroyed, Nema answered. But she almost killed us. She almost destroyed us when we were Isaac in that room at the Amazov catfish farm. How could she do that? The simian asked. His face showed fear, as if he saw the end coming. Nema laughed. She could do it because she could. Just because one is a slave to Koenig doesn't mean you can't have a side project or 3. Besides, what one must remember is that in the city, everything is Koenig. Koenig backs the rebels, and he backs the government. He makes the bets, and he covers the action. Nothing happens without him. Then what of Isaac? Surely you know if he lives, the simian asked. For a moment his voice was his own. It would be the last time. That I don't know for sure, answered Naima. What I do. She trailed off as the structure of the simian's head collapsed into purple noetic fluid. She turned to me and asked, Did you? No, I answered. The signal was terminated on the other end. He's gone. How does that make you feel? Naima asked as she wiped purple fluid from her body. What? I asked, perplexed at the question. He was the last of you, the last you that was you before you became Inari. Don't you feel anything? Naima asked. No, should I? I asked as I made my way back toward the ginkgo throne. In the distance I heard the drone of the bombers which would cleanse this island of any trace of the activities which happened here. It would be quite a long time before Musashi would deign to reopen the ginkgo court. If it had been Isaac who just died, I do know one thing, Naima answered as the thunder of approaching detonations washed toward us. Lucifer wouldn't rest until the entire world paid for Koenig's mistake. There was one more detonation that I was aware of. I remember flying high into the air. I saw shock waves from the approaching explosions. I withdrew my presence from that body. Welcome back from the story. I hope you enjoyed our visit to the Far East. For next week, we return back to the city and its ever-changing climate of interesting characters. Maybe we'll find out who Lucifer is. Maybe we'll find out what's really going on. Maybe, just maybe, we'll find out what the end of memory was. I'm sure it's all something very interesting, but what I'm interested in today is bone-conducting headphones. Yes, those little headphones that go over your head. Instead of going on your ears, go on the bones right in front of your cheekbones, right in front of your ears. And they let you hear the stuff while actually hearing with your ears as well. Okay, it sounds crazy, but there's a reason behind this. My new job, which involves devising a method to take over the world with a giant rat and a slightly smaller rat. We seem to fail every night. But anyway, my job involves doing the IT work to help these rats take over the world. And it turns out I'm working by myself for a long period of time. We don't get any phone calls because, well, they're rats. And so I end up wearing headphones a lot and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And I'm listening. And you wouldn't believe it, but if you listen to headphones long enough, eventually your ears start to hurt. Now, you can put the in-ear ones in, and eventually those start to hurt the inside of your ear. So it feels like somebody's jabbing a pencil in your ear for hours on end. And that makes it so you don't really want to listen to anything. And then I have this other set of headphones which go over the ears, which are very comfortable in the short term, like 2-3 hour time frame. But when you hit 6 to 8 hours a night, it feels like you're turning your ears into cauliflower. Now, last night, we were shopping for something like a box or something. We're not really sure. We stopped by an office store, and they had these headphones. I'm like looking at them, and they're like bone conducting. And you put them in front of your ears so they don't actually touch your ears. And so you're like all sci-fi-y. And it looks all cool, like your Special Forces headphones. And you can actually hear the room around you. You can carry a conversation on with someone while listening to music. And it's incredible because if you put your fingers in your ears, it actually gets louder. And supposedly people who have ear damage that involves just the hairs in their ears actually like them a lot because the conduction of the bone actually makes it so they can hear again. So that's kind of funky. I'm going to try it with my father when I go back to Wisconsin, to Titletown, in the end of July. So we'll see what happens with that. It's going to be pretty cool. But I just thought I'd like to share with you that they're really cool, and they keep your ears from feeling like cauliflower, and you can actually hear the world around you. And you don't, even if you turn them up really loud, you don't feel like you're deafening yourself in the same way that you would create a deafening feeling by putting air pressure into your ears. So I decided to share that with you. That's my wisdom of the week. Bone conducting headphones. I liked them so much, I ordered the Bluetooth version. That should be great. It should be here tomorrow. No, tomorrow's a holiday. Which holiday is it again? Which country am I in? Oh, I gotta figure this out. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. And come on, be sure to come back and join me next week where I'll probably have a better intro and a better outro. And then we'll also have the first of 5 installments of 01-11-10. If you've been paying attention, you know which fraction of the beast we're dealing with here, because they are beastly little boys. So, but if you don't know, I'll just tell you now. We're basically going to find out which Ishmael we'll be following. We'll find out, is there more than one Ishmael we could be following? But you'll never know if you don't return for episode 71 of Firmware Keylogger. Firmware Keylogger is the 3rd book in the firmware pentology. Firmware Hijacked, Proxy, and Keylogger. Keylogger soon in the future, probably the end of August. Okay, not now. Just letting you know right now. Firmware, Hijacked, and Proxy are all available in ebook versions from our shop at shop.colbyjack.net, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords. In the future, after August, they'll be available to everyone else. If you're listening after August, you can probably go out and find it right away. Before August? It's not August yet. Okay, that's all we got to know. Anyway, if you go out to these various places, you can search for Colbytrax. That's Colbytrax. I'm the only one. You'll be bound to find me. Complete audiobook versions of Firmware, Hijacked, Proxy, and Keylogger are available for download through our shop as well. Well, actually, Hijacked Proxy, but not Keylogger. Keylogger, August, remember, August? So we're doing a callback to that. August for Keylogger, everybody else is available, including wonderful books by Tricia M. Wilson, such as, the entire series of the Planets of Riches. Yes, you can find out exactly what's going to happen years before everyone else by just paying like $20-ish. Yeah, pretty awesome. You'll also find Tricia M. Wilson's From the Flames, her wonderful fantasy book that took like 90-some episodes to finish. It's all available in one, 18 CD set. Well, the files are divided to be like audio CD length. So 18 audio CDs is what it takes if you get rid of the front ends and the back ends. So it's just, disc 1, disc 2, disc 3. Yeah, 18 discs. It's insane. Go out, pick it up. She'll love you for it. Anyway, I should probably get back to what I'm doing. What am I doing? Oh yeah, those audiobooks are our intro and outro free versions of the stories you hear here every week, assembled into audio CD-length MP3s for easy burning to old media. Okay? And that's found at shop.colbyjack.net. S-H-O-P. Not the S-H-O-P-P-E. That'd be confusing. Just shop, no P-E, because none of us like to exercise. That's the way it is. Okay, so we've got that. Store, products, disfigurement. Imagine this was a podcast and you only could get this stuff on a podcast. Imagine it's a joke. There's somewhere in there. Okay, if you don't need any stuff but would like to support our work, drop on by Colbyjack.net and hit the pretty little donate button conveniently located somewhere on the website. I'm thinking Tricia might have added a mat or a cat or a hat or a bat to hide it under, but I'm not too sure. You might want to check it out over at Colbyjack.net, which would be on the audio side at audio.colbyjack.net or visual at visual.colbyjack.net. And there you'll find out where our pretty little buttons are hidden. I'd like to thank archive.org for file hosting. We couldn't do it without you. As soon as I finish this episode, this is getting rendered and uploaded to archive.org. Because that's how awesome they are. Firmware Keylogger is released under a Creative Commons, non-commercial, attribution, share-alike 3.0 license. Do what you want with it, just don't sell it, and always tell people where it came from. If you receive this from a friend and want more information about Colbyjack.net and our 2 different types of websites, almost split personality type, just drop on over to Colbyjack.net and select either the audio or visual side. The audio side carries our podcasts, while the visual side carries our writings. Whichever side catches your fancy is fine with us because we produce them both so people can see them. Actually, the visual side, where we put the stories up in full, I actually use that to Google my own books so that I can use the Google search engine to find words that I need, or phrases, or concepts. That's actually a side effect too, it's sort of like a wiki, but it's not organized. It's like a book online, episode after episode. Pretty cool though. Shows up in Google searches. Pretty cool. Anyway, you guys didn't need to know that, did you? Oh, it's a holiday. I can do whatever I want, right? Holiday! Which one is it? I'm in Botswana. President's Day, 2 days later in the month. Okay. What are we doing? Oh, I do mostly Twitter. So if you do the tweets and want to follow me, I'm Colbytrax. Colbytrax. If you want to see what I'm doing, sort of like what I take pictures of, what I share with people in pictures, you can follow me over on Instagram at Colbytrax, or look me up on Facebook as Colby, first name, Trax. That's a Trax for the last name. That was fireworks, if you could hear it. Not sure if you could. And thank you once again. Have a wonderful week. Oh, I forgot. I got an email address. If you need to contact me through email, contact me at Colbytrax at Colbyjack.net. Colbytrax at Colbyjack.net. For email. I'm sure there'll be other things later. I'm not sure what they are at this point. But anyway, thank you once again. Have a wonderful week. And remember to always be fabulous. I would like to thank everyone for putting up with my horrible pronunciation of foreign words over the last several years. I know it's taxing on your ears, but I don't know how to say things, because I'm me. Thank you very much. Bye.